Amen. I love to hear a child pray. It's just powerful, and thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. We have been now in Ephesians 5. So, verse number 16, 15 and 16 in there. Ephesians 5, 16 and 17. This I say then, walk or conduct your behavior in the realm of the Spirit. And so we walk according to the Spirit. Now, what will the Spirit always lead you to do? Walk in obedience to the Scripture. And so walking in the Spirit, it doesn't mean this mystical, your eyes are crossing in your head sort of thing. It just simply means that you are conducting your behavior according to the boundaries of the Bible. That's walking in the Spirit. And you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. So, what is the key then to not walking in the realm of the natural, but in the realm of the spiritual? What's the key? Exactly. Knowing the Word and obeying those things. You say, well, sometimes I don't feel like it. Sometimes you don't feel like paying your mortgage payment. What do you do anyway? You don't feel like paying your insurance. You do it anyway. We don't base what we do on what we feel like doing. If we did that, probably a lot of us wouldn't get out of bed. We wouldn't do a whole lot of things that we do. And so we've got some biblical obligations. And I'm also convinced that if my understanding of what God did for me is clear, that's a good motivator, isn't it? That's a pretty good motivator. So what we're doing tonight, we're looking at lesson number 2. Nobody plans to screw their life up, right? Nobody ever plans that. Now, but does it happen? It happens. Nobody ever plans. This guy that plays for, is it the Bucks now? He used to play for the Giants. Pierre-Paul, does he play for the Bucks now? Guy blew his hand off several years ago on the 4th of July. They were messing around with some fireworks, and he blew his fingers off. I mean, it's nasty. Blew his fingers off. And so, but he's playing in the NFL, and they just bandage him up real. He didn't plan to do that. He didn't say, I think I'm going to blow my fingers off today. But life, because of decisions that we make, and even because of decisions that other people make, impact us. And so nobody plans to do that. But often we just don't plan not to. And let me give you an example. Do you think when Kavanaugh was drinking in college that the thought ever crossed his mind, one day I'm going to be nominated as a Supreme Court Justice. And I'm looking forward to sitting through the most ridiculous sham. Do you think he ever thought that was going to happen? But it did. Now, what would have been a real good thing for Brett not to have done back years ago? Don't even do that. Don't even do that. And so it would have been a whole lot easier. It would have been cheaper. That cost us a lot of money, what they just went through. Okay, those boys get paid overtime for whatever they're doing up there. And let's not miss the opportunity to customize this decision-making process in our lives to our specific professional, financial, relational dimensions. And this takes a real, like you said, a knowledge of the Word. It takes personal, individual knowledge, like a working knowledge. I don't have a working knowledge of algebra. Now, some of y'all do, because you maybe even use it on your job. I have a working knowledge of chemistry. Some people have to. That's their job. That's the way they make their money. I don't have a working knowledge of that. I don't have a working knowledge of how an engine works. Paul works out of the mind. He fixes stuff I don't even know how to spell. And so he's got a working knowledge of how to put that stuff together. Jamie loves this spreadsheet stuff and, going in and finding this and doing that. And I'm not even sure I could find a spreadsheet on my computer. But, this is what he does. And so what I need to do in my life is to customize my decision-making process according to my station in life. And according to my all my personal relationships. And so this takes individual knowledge. And I think I need to know more than the church is local and closed communion and baptism by immersion. I need to go way beyond that. You know, that's like saying, Cale, could you start your dad's car? You can't even start it? You could start the car. So she's ready to go driving, right? No, probably not. And so that's some pretty elemental, foundational. That's you know, to start it, that's where you start. But there's much more to it than that. And so there's much more to this Christian walk than, you know, knowing the nature of the church, the nature of baptism, things like that. So the question in all dimensions, we talked about this last Sunday night. In light of my blank experiences, what was the word? In light of my past experiences, all right? What have you done in the past? What decision did you make? The last time you were here, what happened? The last time I returned that phone call, what happened? The last time I went to that business, what happened? And so in light of my past experiences, Kayla, this young lady that came last Sunday morning, is highly allergic to coconut, and I didn't know that. And we went to lunch last week, and she ordered a piece of, what was it, like German chocolate cake or something like that? And it just said chocolate cake, and didn't say anything about coconut. And so she took it home, or took it to the house, and she's eating it, and a piece touched her lip, a piece of coconut, and immediately she stopped. And you know, she said, "Well, I'm really allergic to coconut." And within just a few minutes, her lips were getting numb. And I was like, "Oh boy!" And the other young lady was a nurse, and so she said, "As long as you can breathe, you're okay." And so, so in light of her past experiences, she knows. In light of Titus's past experiences, his mom and dad, and then probably he does too, you know, at this point, you know, in light of past experiences, what might be the best thing to do? Number two, in light of my current circumstances, exactly. In light of my current circumstances, what's the best thing for me to do? Then the third dimension, in light of my future hopes and dreams, okay? In light of Cale's future hopes and dreams. Do you want to be on the gymnastics team at the junior high, right? Not the junior high? Why not the junior high? They don't have gymnastics there? How about high school? They don't have gymnastics at our high school? Really? You want to go to college and be on the gymnastics team in a college somewhere? You do? Okay, well, we got to find you a school that's going to be in the interim and get you into that. One day, would you like to be in the Olympics? You would? How would y'all like maybe one day to be sitting in the living room, you know, and we'll be in our wheelchairs, you know, watching Cale win gold at the Olympics. And so in light of my future hopes and dreams, what would be a good thing for me to do? You know? So, what is the wise thing for me to do in this season of my life? That's a good question. What do I need to do? Considering what you know, in light of back there and right here and up there. And again, how much trouble do you think people could stay out of if they would ask this question about what's going on right now? See, one day right now is going to be the past, you know, but right now it's right now. And so if I want my future hopes, and one day I'm going to look back on tonight and say, wow, you know, this happened that night. I remember, you know, I remember Cale Dickey when she sat on the front pew at Riverview Heights Baptist Church taking notes, and she would ask me, said, what verse are we going to be in tonight? And one day, quite probable, you know, we're going to be able to watch you do some things in the future. All right. Let's look at some biblical alternatives. Truth hurts a little bit. And sometimes it'll leave a scar. And that scar is actually a good thing. And I'm convinced of this, that the thorn in Paul's side was probably his eyesight. He had ophthalmia. Paul had bad eyes. And you remember when he was struck down on the road to Damascus with that incredibly bright light. And and it blinded him for 3 days. And he went on into Damascus, and he stayed with that guy, and on the third day, these scales fell off his eyes. From that day to the day he died, he couldn't see well. And so sometimes these scars will just remind you where he came from. Scars are, those are scars of grace, I think, in his life. And so I know this, and you know it too. Truth always brings healing. It's like surgery. Surgery doesn't always bring healing, but in order to, if you get shot in the shoulder and there's a bullet lodged in your shoulder, a good thing to do is have it removed. Now, there's going to be a scar there. And so in life, we have scars, and I'm thankful that truth is the only entity in the universe that can bring healing between broken relationships. Well, say the truth of what? Well, the truth is I may need to ask Sandy's forgiveness for something I've done or said. The truth is she would need to forgive me. When she does that, when I do the truth and when she does the truth, relationship is healed. That works everywhere. I have never counseled a couple that truth couldn't have healed their relationship. Never. And that's one of the first things I tell them. So this is a repairable situation if you want it to be. And if you don't want it to be, y'all going to wind up divorced and you're going to go about your ways if that's what you want. But if the heart is open to the healing of truth, any situation can be resolved. Anybody can be saved. Anybody. So it's difficult to face at times because it's counterintuitive to human wisdom. Have you ever read anything in the Bible that you didn't like? You ever read anything in the Bible that you wish the Bible didn't say that? Well, I wish it was something else. I wish that didn't say that because there's something else I'd rather do. And so there are some alternatives. We just wouldn't like them all. And so often, I'm not going to include you in this, although I'm kind of suspicious that we all may be in the same boat here. We don't want to do the wise thing. We want to do the me thing. How has that worked out in the past? And I don't know why, but we keep going right back to it. It's like the dog returning to his vomit. It just, for some reason, it's hard for us to get over. Now, it's easy for me to get over your pieces of stupid. When you do something like that, I'm like, well, I don't know what they were thinking. But when I do it, I'm like, well, I just thought that was what the Lord wanted me to do. We just have a tendency to excuse ourselves and blame everybody else for everything. But we all struggle with this thing of I'm here. I know what I need to do. I don't know where God is. I can't even see him. He's invisible. He lives way off yonder. But I know what I need to do. And what I often just forget is that the Lord crocheted life together. He knows exactly the ins and outs of life. He knows how it works. He knows how it works best. And if I will add this fuel to the engine of my life, it'll just purr. And when I don't do that, the engine will start knocking, And if I put diesel in a gasoline engine, we're going to have some problems pretty quickly, as a matter of fact. So I think we talked about that last week, about what Dr. Haig told me. That was just one of those aha moments when he said that every cell in the body has a photoreceptor. I'd never heard that before. Because I was asking him about the laser treatment, and he was doing that laser stuff, and when he got through, it felt good, or when Denise got through. And so the Lord, again, has designed the universe as a physical revelation of himself. And so if every cell, all the billions of cells in our body contain a photoreceptor that respond positively to light, what kind of a physical illustration of a spiritual truth is that? The light is God's word, and the broken heart, the dark heart, the sinful heart responds, and when that heart opens up, oh my word, did your life change when you got saved? It was just like, wow, what just happened? This is absolutely wonderful, And some of us got saved at an early age, and so I didn't have years of drug abuse and alcohol abuse and murder, and I didn't have all that. I was 9 years old when I got saved. I had a lot of stupid behind me, but it wasn't that kind of stuff. But it didn't matter, There was this, at 9, there was just this sense of, whew, it was almost like, I'm not in trouble anymore. It's, we're okay. I'm on the right side of God's situation in my life. Now, 4 options are presented in this book. Number 1 is the wise. Number 2, what is a simple guy? What does that mean? Simple doesn't mean easy to understand. It's not what that's talking about. And number 3, there's the fool. Who is a fool? According to Proverbs, we're going to find out who the fool is. And then there's the mocker. And as you look at that list of 4 things right there, it just gets darker every step, you know. And but if I don't opt for wisdom, I'm going to opt for something else. If I don't worship God, I'm going to worship somebody, right? Everybody worships somebody or something. And so if I don't opt for God's word, I'm going to opt for somebody's word. I'm going to opt for my own. I'm going to opt for yours. Or maybe, how about this? How about Dr. Phil? Oprah. Somebody on the internet. The guy down the street that doesn't know any more about anything than I do. And so you're going to opt for somebody's word, period. And so the question, what else is there beside wisdom? Is there a wise way to handle everything? So it's not just great, big, huge questions of life. It's every little. There's a right way to do everything. There's not a right way to do the wrong thing. So what I've got to do is be able to be acquainted enough with Scripture to know. It says, okay, the book says that. Now, let me confess something to you. I don't always know the address of the verse I need. Well, that's in Proverbs chapter 9, verse 5. I can't always do that. But I know what is taught there. And so I don't think it is required that I quote the address. Lord, it's in, I'll be right back. Okay, yeah. I don't think it's necessary. All I think I need to do is know what I need to do. Well, I know Scripture teaches this. And, then you plug that in and you embrace that truth. And then it becomes yours. And so there's all kind of stuff. But here's an option. Yeah, I can dig my own grave. I can dig my own grave relationally, financially, maritally, parentally, grandparentally. Nobody just kill themselves on the job. We just make really, really dumb choices on the job and get fired for it. Doing something stupid on the job and you get fired for it. I've heard some of the craziest stuff. There was a guy that was stealing gasoline from these big, motorhome parks where they got the big buses like Brother Tom's got, and he was stealing lots of gasoline. And they couldn't catch the guy. And so one night, him and a buddy went into this big mobile home park or whatever it was, and they're going to steal a bunch of gas. And his buddy was in charge of it that night, and he ran this siphon hose down in the tank, and you know how you got to suck it to get it going. Well, he put his hose down in the septic tank. That's exactly what happened. And the cops found him puking under a tree not far. And I just thought that was great. I said, well, good. That's exactly what he needs. And you've heard goofy. I heard about a guy that went into a gun shop. He was going to rob the gun shop, but there were people in there, and so he had to wait until everybody cleared out. So in the meantime, he asked for an employment form. Yeah, application. And so he's looking around, he's filling this application out. He fills the application out. Name, address, phone number, and turns it in, and then robs the joint. And they called the police, and they took his application, went right to his house, and arrested him. And I'm like, well, there you go. That guy needs to be, if he's going to be that stupid, And so some people just dig their own grave. Now look in Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 7. Proverbs 7. Proverbs 7, beginning with verse number 6. Proverbs 7, 6. For at the window of my house I looked through my casement. Now, they didn't have glass, so there's a hole in his wall, a little decorative hole, and he's looking out this hole in his wall. Here's what he sees. And beheld among the simple ones, I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding. Now, how do we know he was void of understanding? Just because he was young? Well, let's read on. He was passing through the streets near her corner. And he went the way to her house. In the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night, and behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of heart. She's loud and stubborn. Her feet abide not in her own house. Now she's without. Now she's walking the streets. Now in streets and lieth and wait at every corner. She's on the clock, and she caught him and kissed him. With an impudent face said unto him, I have peace offerings. Oh, my word, really? You know, that's a religious ceremony that the Jews went through. You want to come to my house and worship? This will be God's will, and before we do anything, we can offer peace offerings. You know, wow. So I've got peace offerings. I have paid my vows. I am clean with God. Therefore came forth I to meet thee, because now I'm ready to do business. Diligently to seek thy face have I found. Now, was she looking for this kid? No. Who's she looking for? Anybody with a dollar bill in his, exactly. Oh, honey, I've been looking for, you are the one. Well, what's a young kid going to think of an experienced woman like this? You've been looking for me? Oh, yes, yes. I decked my bed with coverings of tapestry and carved works with fine linen of Egypt. I perfumed my bed with myrrh and aloes and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with loves. For the good man, that's the husband, he's not at home. She's telling him that my husband's not home. And this kid is like, oh. And you're all paid up with God? All paid up with God. And you've got this stuff all over your bed and it smells like that? Yes, and the good man's not going. Matter of fact, he's gone on a long journey. He took his checkbook with him. And he'll come home at the day appointed. That means the new moon. With her much fair speech, she caused him to yield. And with the flattering of her lips, she forced him. Now what forced him? Yeah, just compliments and flattery and all this stuff. He goeth after her straightway, as an ox goeth to the slaughter. Does an ox know where he's going? No. Or as a fool to the correction of the stocks. Now the fool knows the sentence. So he knows what he did. Till a dart strike through his liver. That's a sexually transmitted disease. It's as old as the human species. And a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. Hearken unto me now, therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. Let not thine heart decline to her ways. Go not astray in her paths. For she hath cast down many wounded, yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, or the grave, going down to the chambers of death. All right, now, let's look at this simple guy. We've got to define what we're talking about. Proverbs 7, 6, and 7. He's a youth. This kid's a teenager. Basically, he's just a kid. He is clueless. You remember when you were a teenager? What were you clueless about? About everything? Just about everything. They just had no clue about how life worked. I didn't know. I thought everybody was honest. I thought everybody was, I grew up in church. My dad was my pastor. I just thought everybody went to church. When somebody didn't go to church, I was kind of shocked. We'd be in a restaurant in Lakeland or Mulberry somewhere, and I'd see somebody drinking a beer, and I'd just be like, do you see what they're doing? I was so naive, and probably a church member over there doing that, as a matter of fact. But this kid, he's young, he's inexperienced. They hadn't been hurt yet. She ain't been hurt yet, all right? She might have had a few minor childhood disappointments, but, she's never been hurt yet to the depth that probably all of us in here have been hurt. They're not bad. This kid wasn't bad. He was dumb. He didn't set out to ruin his life. He didn't plan. Oh, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go get a disease. I want to die. And that woman down there just looks like she can help me with my assisted suicide. He just wanted to go have a good time. He was just dumb. He was innocent. He was inexperienced about life. And again, Kayla is a wonderful young lady, but she doesn't really have any life experience yet. But she's getting it every day at appropriate amounts and levels for her age. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we got Brother Tom. Brother Tom's got all kind of experience in life. He can tell you stories and give you experiences that he has had. All of y'all, you have some stories. You have some stories you can share about when you were simple and you did stuff that wasn't real wise, and now you look back on it, you're like, oh, my word, what was I thinking? You have any moments like that? What was I thinking? When those kinds of things happen, I'm sure that everybody does. Do what? Yeah, would you do that now? Y'all do it one time. And so they're yeah, exactly. They're vulnerable. They're just wide open to suggestion. They're the ones with the bumper sticker on their truck that ain't scared. Well, you little idiot. You haven't learned to be scared of. There's some stuff out there you need to be scared of. There's no strength in not being afraid. There are things that I did when I was a kid. I'd be scared to death to do it now. Just absolutely open and vulnerable. And, well, there he is. Gonna conquer the world. Ain't scared of nothing. Nobody's gonna tell me what to do. I can break the rules and it'll be all right. This guy is just simple. Now, there's a motto that he has in life, and his motto is that. And there's some things that I'd run from, in driving. I was talking with a guy the other day that said he was going down to Mulberry, and he was in his vehicle, and he passed a truck. Just went right on by him. They got down to Mulberry, that one stoplight in Mulberry, and he's sitting there waiting for the light to turn green, and somebody's beating on his window. And he kind of jerks, and he looks around, and it's this guy that was in this truck. And so he reaches out, and he gets his pistol, and he's got his pistol on his lap, and he rolls the window down. And he says, well, what do you want? He said, just want you to know, I hate Gator fans. This guy had a Gator. Yeah, he had a Gator license plate holder, and this guy could see it in the rearview mirror. He said, I hate Gator fans. And that's dumb. That's stupid right there. All right? That's a good way to get shot. Good way to get, and it was a young kid that didn't have, and so, a lot of young people they have no boundaries. They think, well, this is okay. I can disrespect older folks. That's okay. And they've not been shown where the fence lines are yet. They've not been shown. You don't do that. Whoa, you don't do that. You don't say that. And this has changed. The Overton window that we talked about several months ago, what is acceptable as far as public discourse is concerned. You remember when you were a kid, what was acceptable conversation in polite company? Look at what's acceptable now. This thing has just altered and changed through the course of the years. And so I don't even know what that says, to be honest with you. It says they don't know enough to be scared yet, but they will. They will. Yeah, if they live through it. Yeah, exactly right. All right. So here's a perfect picture. Going the wrong way, and just doesn't care. It's all right. I'll be all right. I can go to that party. I'll be okay. I'm not going to get in trouble. That sort of thing. Simple thinking. The word simple, by the way, means open to impression. As of now, they don't have any boundaries built around them. They don't have any fences. They don't have any filters. They don't have any borders. It's open borders. You want to drop an idea in, it's welcome. You drop that idea. That's fine. Here's what I think we ought to do. I think we ought to go around and let's shoot into some houses. Okay, that sounds cool. They have no clue that that's really not a good idea. And so they just have this idea, Mom, nothing's going to happen. We're going to be okay, So simple people aren't scared. Back, just a few years ago? You remember the Frank Dodd Act? Frank/Dodd. These were two congressmen. I don't know, it was back during, I guess, Bush's administration. This one we had the crash. Remember that? What was that, 2008, something like that, whenever that was? There were a couple of congressmen that thought, and one of them was gay. Homosexual. Barney Frank was gay. And they thought it was discriminatory that not everybody could go into a bank and get a mortgage for a house. We can't have that. We've got to have people that can just go in and get. And so they passed this law, in essence, forcing banks to give people that didn't qualify for loans the money. Whether you could pay it back or not, that didn't have anything to do with it. It's all, this is a racist thing, and y'all can't do this, and so let's just give everybody a mortgage. Well, okay, we did. You remember what happened? The housing market crashed. You understand, when you borrow money, you got to pay it back? And these two guys were like, no, that doesn't matter. Well, it's not your money, When it's your money, it really matters. So these banks experienced this strong-arm tactic to get these people into houses, and it's absolutely backfired on them. And so they're not afraid of carnal. This kid, he's walking on the street. Don't you think he knows what section of town he's in? You think he's looking? Think he's on the prowl? He's not afraid of venereal disease. It's not going to happen to me. That happens to everybody else, not me. He really thinks this woman loves him. She's poured all this honey all over him. Oh, you're the one I've been looking for. You are the guy. And he's just, oh my word, and he's eating all this up. He's just dumb as a post. Well, the simple don't see any hurt on the horizon. I can do this, and, nothing's going to happen. And they don't even see the horizon. Do you know any young people that you shake your head? You hear some of the stuff they're doing. You see some of the stuff they're doing, and they're not open. They're not teachable. When I was at the junior high here, I remember these kids would come in, and I could almost tell you, you're going to see his picture in the paper one day. And sure enough, 2, 3, 4 years later, I say, you remember that guy? I had this kid. I had that kid right there. Because classroom rules, he didn't have to follow those. Dress code. I was in the office one day, a little girl had been sitting in there, and her skirt was too high. And so the teacher sent her to the office, and they called her daddy. And boy, her big old daddy, big old beer belly daddy, comes sliding in the parking lot, and he got out. And don't you know, he poured vehemence all over everybody in that office in the presence of his little girl who had her really short skirt on. And he was like, ain't nobody in here gonna tell my little girl what she can and cannot wear. And he just all over the place. And I was thinking, you great big idiot. You just gave this child a permission slip to run over every teacher in this school, break every rule in this school, and one day we're all going to pay the price for her stupidity. Well, it kind of showed me where she got it, you know. And so these kids that are running the streets now, shooting policemen, and all that, you know where a lot of that comes from, if not all of that comes from? They've not had anybody in their lives say, hey, look, here are some boundaries. You can and you cannot do this. This is good, this is bad, this is acceptable, this is unacceptable. And so a lot of them don't even see the horizon. And so a wise person sees the evil. And what does he do? Hides himself. You know, he takes shelter. He's not just going to keep walking right into this thing head first. And so it's a good thing to do, just hide yourself. Now, simple thinking. Never trade what you want most for what you want now. To these young people. Exactly. And there are a lot of them that grow up with scars that will never go away because nobody told them. Maybe dad thought it was cute. You know, I've seen this through the course of the years. You know, kids smart off to mom and dad and they're disobedient at home and parents laugh at it. You know, they think that's cute. There's nothing cute about rebellion. I don't care if it's at the house or in the courtroom. Somebody's going to pay a price for rebellion, and that child needs to have some boundaries drawn around him, and he needs to be or she needs to be told, you will do this and you will not do that. I saw the most insane thing here just a few months ago. There was this child expert, and she was being interviewed on TV. And here was her philosophy. You don't change a baby's diaper without getting their permission. And the interviewer was like, how? Well, they'll tell you by their body language. Ask permission to change that child's diaper. And she went on for 2 or 3 minutes explaining, and the interviewer was just, he was just kind of, you'd be like you would be. Are you kidding me? You're asking permission of a baby? And then later on in the interview, she's talking about, we need to ask what gender they would like to be known as. You want to be a little girl, you want to be a little boy. It's up. Kale, would you rather be a little boy or a little girl? A little girl. Thank God for that. All right? And so never trade what you want most for what you want now. And so, when we're talking to our young people, do you want, you want your marriage to be happy, and you don't want these regrets in your background. You don't want all this mud in your folder, and you want to come to, your marriage night when you want to do that? Yeah, all right. Then plan for that, plan for that right now. 7:22 and 23. This is what he doesn't see. He goes after her straightway as an ox goes to the slaughter, or as a fool. He doesn't see that coming. And fools don't see one day they're going to get caught. Frank, you out there? Can you step in here just for a second? Have you ever arrested a teenager that was all upset at you because you caught him doing the wrong thing? Can you give us an example of what you've been told through the course of your career? Well, Cale is in here. I'll tell you that. Have they ever cussed you out?
Oh, yeah. That's why I asked how you want me to present this.
So it's your fault.
Yep. It's my fault. There's no law that covers that. You don't know what you're doing. So there's a lot of strong advocates in there.
Now, have you ever had parents come to the defense of a child like that?
Yes, I did. I arrested one boy, one of my friends, he's been exposure, and Mama, I put him in jail, and I put someone else in jail after he bonded out, and Mother came up to me and looked at me and said, "Let's have something better to do than put him in jail for what he was doing." He was standing on the side of the road urinating towards the traffic, not
Okay. Thank you. uh, you just want to grab somebody like that by the arm and say something kind like that, you know, you little idiot. I know Stacy comes home with some stories that, are you kidding? He said, what? And I won't repeat what she said, but you remember that kid that was walking down the hallway and he just casually spoke to a couple of teachers. What's up, itches? How old is he? Kindergarten. Walked by 2 female teachers. Yeah. What's up? Kindergarten. Well, so he's never seen stop signs in his life. You know, this kid has never seen a prohibited, don't do that, don't say that. And when kids are raised in homes like that, they get pressure at school. You remember when the pressure was to make A's? Now it's let's go ahead and fail, you know. Yeah, exactly. You know, you're putting pressure on us. And so they've never seen any kind of stop signs. Now, what's the cure for the simple-minded guy? Time. Everybody in here. Yeah, everybody in here. We were Cale's age at one time. You might remember it, you might not remember it.
It's the consequences of our decisions.
Yes, it is.
And that just takes.
But there's no guarantee you're going to get.
There is no guarantee, but the cure for this, you can't, once you just grow up, well, it's like telling a baby to stop crying. You know, you can holler that all day. It's like, you know, spitting in the wind and all of those cliches, tugging on the man's cape and all that kind of stuff. Time. Just let them grow up. Look at y'all. At some point we grew up. Yeah, at some point, did you used to cuss? Betty, you never cussed? Really? You really? Wow. Brenda, you never cussed? Really? Wow.
After I got saved, I got a phone call from my best friend, and she said to me, Sandy, I can't believe the change in you since you got saved. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, you don't swear anymore. I said, I don't.
I'm telling you, he gets your heart right with the Lord. I lost about 90% of my vocabulary when I gave my heart to the Lord. I didn't know what to say. You know, somebody say, I don't know what to say anymore. And but just time, and you can't hurry this up. I think it's amazing that a 6-year-old horse, that's an old horse. That's a mature horse. That horse can breed at 6 years old or earlier than that. 2-year-old, you know. How old are you? 9. She ain't even close to being married. She ain't dating. She better not even have a boyfriend, as a matter of fact. Okay, all right, I'm being your daddy right now. Why does it take so long for humans to mature, but animals can do it just like that? Some of the turtles do, but what's the difference? Man has spirit. So we have the ability to understand who God is, and so we don't just need to grow up physically. We need to grow up emotionally as well, and that takes a long, long time, and that little heart needs to be in the presence of people who know God. This is why family is so important, why home is so vital. It's vital for the child. It's vital for culture. I wish every mom and dad were Christians. Wouldn't it make life better for everybody if they were raised in this kind of environment? And so, just some time, let them grow up. They'll see. Oh my goodness, I used to do that. I used to wear that. I used to say that. I used to eat that. I used to go there. I used to listen to that kind of music. They used to watch that on TV. Back when we were all kids. Captain Kangaroo. Y'all remember Captain Kangaroo? Watch Captain Kangaroo and Mr. Green Jeans and And there was a lady out of Tampa, her name was Mary Ellen, and she had a parrot. Y'all remember that? And she came to Mulberry Elementary School years ago, and it was just the greatest thing. They had TV cameras there and everything. And now these kids would laugh that kind of stuff to scorn. But let's just give them some time. And so we've got a lot of young people in our church. Are they silly? Yeah. You have to supervise them pretty closely. It depends on their age, but yeah, they need some supervision. One day they're going to be supervisors. See, one day they're going to be watching somebody. We were. There was a time when y'all needed your mom and daddy 24 hours a day. We all did. We needed somebody. Don't put that in your mouth. Well, now I know not to put that in my mouth. Don't put your tongue in that. Don't stick your finger in there. Don't, Well, now we pretty much know, don't do that. Don't stick your tongue in there. Don't put a screwdriver in there. Well, I got a penny stuck by. Well, just leave it alone. Turn the power off to the house. You didn't know to do that when you were, just a kid. And so now let's step into the fool. Look at verse. What are we looking at? Chapter 26 now. Let's step over there real quickly. 26. Look at verse number 11. So what's the cure for the simple? Time. Now, verse number 11, 26:11. As a dog returns to his vomit, so a fool returns to his folly. A fool knows it's wrong. He just doesn't care. The simple might not know it's wrong because they're inexperienced. They don't know. They're just clueless. They're naive. This guy knows what he's doing. He just doesn't care. And so I think this guy's dangerous. He just doesn't give you just fill in the blank right there. Well, what I think you should do, I don't give a what you think I should do. I'm doing this anyway. I'm saying this anyway. I'm going there anyway. And so they're fully aware of the consequences. And so Frank has dealt with, in most instances, you don't break the law accidentally. You know exactly what you're doing. And so there are a lot of, I'm not hurting anybody. There's an argument for abortion, for instance. One of the number one arguments is, it's my body, I can do what I want to. No, you can't. You cannot do what you want with your body, period. You say, well, why not? Did you know prostitution is illegal in every state in the union except for 11 counties in Las Vegas or in Nevada? Can you do anything you want with your body? You can get arrested for prostitution. It's your body, ladies. Can you do anything you want with your body? Ask those people up at CPM. Can you do anything you want? No, you can get arrested. So is that a valid argument? Absolutely not. Because there are consequences to our decisions. And if I do something that endangers you, I ought to have enough sense not to do that. But this guy, the fool, thinks he's not hurting anybody. It's my decision, it's my life, it's my choice, it's my body, it's my money, it's my house, it's my car, and that's the way the fool is. He knows that it is not the thing to do, but he just doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care about the consequences of his life. Chapter 13, back up to chapter 13. And look at verse number 20, I believe it is, 13:20. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. You can't tell a fool that. The parents of a kid like this, or the wife of a guy like that, or the husband of a woman like that, they don't care. These are my friends. I'm going to hang out. I'm going to do I'll drink what I want to do. And so the risk is worth it. They just think it's worth it. And sometimes that risk can cost you your life. How many times have we heard of stories, people doing something really, really stupid? They knew it was wrong. They knew they shouldn't do it, but they did it anyway, and they wound up losing their lives. They just got killed. And if it doesn't kill you physically, it can kill your marriage. I just didn't think anybody would ever find I just didn't think this. I just didn't think that. Well, is that the criteria for decisions? What's the criteria for decisions according to now Ephesians chapter 5? Walk as close to the edge as you can. If it's not illegal to do this. What's the best criteria for making decisions? What is the wise thing to do? What's the wise thing to do? I heard about a guy that was a very wealthy man. He was trying to find a driver, a chauffeur. And so he let it be known that he was looking for a chauffeur. And so a couple of guys showed up, and one guy took him, got his car, his boss's, future boss's car if he was going to get hired, and he went up on this mountain road, and this guy wanted to show off. He got just as close to the edge as he could and drove just as fast as he could. Just showing, and came back, and another guy got in the car. He got just as close to the mountain as he could, and he drove just as carefully as he could, and guess who got the job? When we were out at the Grand Canyon, I'm not sure exactly what happened. We didn't hear the story, but somebody fell while we were out there and got killed. Somebody got too close to the edge. Now, again, I don't know the story. I can imagine, and this might not be accurate, but somebody wanted to take a picture. And we'll get just as close to the edge as they could, perhaps, just to show everybody how brave. And maybe that wasn't the case. Maybe somebody pushed him. I don't know what it was. But whatever it was, he got too close to the edge and fell off and got killed. And they don't get the body immediately. They let the body stay overnight. And then they go down the next day and get it. And we were up on this really high portion of it one time. And I asked the guy, I said, how far is that down there? And he said, it is 1 mile to the bottom. 1 mile. And I said, wow, so that's a long way. I said, how long would it take you to hit the bottom? He said, take you 3 minutes. 3 minutes. He said, that'd be the longest 3 minutes of your life. And I would pray that the Lord just take me in the first 12 feet. You know, I wouldn't want to live for 3 minutes knowing going down there. But people going to call it, well, you chicken. That's fine. Say what you want to say. What's the wise thing to do in any situation? What's the wise thing to do? With regards to my health, what's the wise thing to do? How's the wise thing to spend my time and my money and my energy and my effort? What's the wise thing to do? So, all right, we're going to stop right there. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your presence tonight. And be here Wednesday night, Tuesday night actually at 7 o'clock. And there's just a good presentation that I think every church needs to hear. And so be here at 7 and then Wednesday night at 7 o'clock as well. All right, y'all ready to go home? You ready to go home, Kale? Ready to go to the house? You going to go to bed early tonight? Get a good night's sleep? What time do you normally go to bed? You do. You got school tomorrow. What time you going to bed? You better get in bed, girl. Yeah, look back here. Yeah. Oh, mercy. All right. Well, let's dismiss and y'all go to the house. All right. Lord, thank you for your goodness. Thank you for the truth of your word. Thank you for the stop signs and the fence lines and the yield signs and the walls and the warnings and the out of order signs and the do not proceed signs. And I'm grateful for the green lights, for the this way, one way. This is the way to go. Walk ye in it. And you do that not just to show us that you're boss, but you do that for our benefit and our blessing. And that's where the childishness needs to diminish in us. Because I know kids don't like to be told what to do because they think we're just trying to ruin their fun. But you, Father, are giving us instruction for our benefit and for our blessing. And thank you for those who've chosen to be here tonight. Watch over us, protect us as we do the wise thing this week. In Jesus' name, amen.